A big what's up to everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Our boy Benny 1 Point is back in the news with his first personal interview since that dreaded Hawks series. So you know a boy had to talk about it. Yes, sirski, more Ben Simmons content. Anyway, sub a brother up for more unique Sixers content because you know what we do here. The season will begin in less than a month, which is crazy, and I still have that goal of reaching 2,000 subscribers before opening night against the bum Boston Celtics. So yeah, thank you in advance. Thursday morning, Ben Simmons appeared on the Redick podcast called The Old Man and the Three. This was a highly anticipated talk because, as we know, Ben Simmons has not been the most vocal about a lot of things over the last year and some change, at least over the last season, basketball season. I kind of find it tough how JJ really got the exclusive chat with mans because typically these monumental joints, if you even want to call it that, are reserved for the television networks, ESPN, Fox Sports 1. The conversation spanned from talk of Simmons overall to the reason he fell in love with basketball to his time with the Sixers, as well as his mental health problems and everything else in between. Going into the video, which I watched, as I legit watched as soon as I woke up Thursday morning with the crush still in my eyes, I didn't know what to expect really, but what I got was an above average to midly, slightly enjoyable thing. Like off the bat, I must say that JJ gave Simmons some soft behind questions, bro. Like that is indisputable. And didn't really drive home certain points that he had until the very end. That's probably because his goal was to get Ben to be more comfortable in the actual interview where he would actually speak, as well as to, you know, be more wine drunk. But I honestly feel like he was too protective of mans, and it came off as a little bit disingenuous, honestly, like very fraudulent from Mr. JJ Redick, which we all know how I feel about him. There was a reason why JJ was honestly wearing shades throughout the duration of the interview, so he could hide the BS spewing out of his soul. I also didn't like the fact that JJ, you know, talked smacked about Joel and his comments after the Hawks series with Ben. He didn't throw him under the bus. Full contextually speaking, it was the truth. In terms of Ben Simmons overall, the feeling I had when watching the interview and hearing him speak came off as a little bit contradictory. On one hand, he seemed comfortable with his smug, confident, charming self like he usually is, but on the other hand, he didn't seem like he knew how to answer the questions, to the point where basically he would give a response with two answers on the opposite spectrum, come off as mature in some instances, then came off more childish in others. A very interesting dichotomy, which just shows to me that like he's still on some ish. And I don't know, man, it just really didn't come off as believable overall to me. So you could really tell that he was still upset about the whole Philadelphia situation, which is understandable because, I mean, wouldn't you be as well? Like, who wouldn't be? I mean, look at me making this video even though Simmons is long gone, which actually brings me to a big point that I really want to emphasize, why Philly is so mad at Ben and really cannot let this go. Like, I've had a lot of conversations doing those fan interviews out in the stadiums, and a lot of non-Sixer fans always, you know, ask, yo, why are Philly fans so distraught about the whole Ben Simmons situation? And it's honestly because, like, Bull will forever be connected to the process, which ultimately gave us Philly fans and us versus the world mentality. Yes, we got in our bag because we definitely identified with that whole culmination of building from the ground up, which everybody said, at least most folks said, that like the actual plan was not going to work to actually create a good team, and they were wrong. So obviously we would have that, you know, sense of emotional attachment. And when you add a unique, supposedly transcendent point guard who is a #1 overall pick to that mix, who people outside of Philadelphia didn't like to begin with, our protection of him and belief in him to get better throughout those 5 years that, like, you know, Bulls stayed here, was just so strong. And for him to quit on the team and to quit on his fans and you know, quit on the actual program after everything, and to go out with like the whole Trae Young play is just like, wow, bro. Like, no doubt if Ben Simmons gets a free throw, a 65-70% free throw, him and Joel Embiid can be a dynasty. Could have been a dynasty. Everything else was working, man. The man quit on the city over some free throws, and that's why we pissed. So no, Philadelphia fans will probably never get over Ben Simmons and his betrayal, but it is what it is ultimately. Make no mistake, I do believe Ben Simmons was going through mental hurdles during that whole season. There were a lot of reports coming out about his family throughout the duration of the season. I'm not saying that he was not going through anything. What I will say though is he didn't help himself by not being transparent. And yes, you don't have to do that per se. You know, people handle things in their own ways, but there are consequences to certain actions. And as a result, a lot of folks don't believe him. And it created a whole mushroom cloud over this thing. Anyway, deep diving into the interview, here are a few things that Ben had to say. First, he feels like he never got help from his teammates after the Hawks series, and subsequently said that report in the summer of teammates trying to come see him in LA was false. So it's hearsay at this point. He still feels that he is a part of Philly as he owns real estate in the area, which is him just being a whole troll. I was so annoyed with like Maz saying that. He also talked about the infamous practice where he was kicked out at the beginning of last season. He said that he had a jersey in his pocket during them drills, which, I mean, look, you can take a look at the video itself and you can make that actual judgment. He really emphasized that like a lot of people really didn't understand or don't understand basketball, which JJ definitely did agree with, putting some elitist tabs on that John. He called himself a winner multiple times, saying that he always wants to win the game no matter what. Interesting the way you put that there, sir. And then we get to the Hawk series talk, which honestly like pissed me off the most, fam. Like ridiculously. So when asked about the Trae Young play, Ben legitimately glossed over it from a contextual standpoint, like of that moment in time, and just sticks to the play from an X's and O angle. I'm like, nah, fam, because like there is context within that. It's game 7, like 3 minutes left in the game, and we're down by like 2. Like, you dunked that ball over Trae Young, fam. Like, especially with all that smug energy that you willingly give off. Nah, like, you folded, hands down. And I didn't respect the fact that, like, he just, like, glossed over it and said that, like, you know, it is what it is. And JJ really didn't let him slide because he said, yo, like, you should have dunked it. But it wasn't really emphasized, and I didn't appreciate that because, like, you legit changed the future of the team by you folding. And the fact that like he ultimately says that he lives with the Hawks series loss, and though he like, you know, admits briefly that he should have punched the ball in for a dunk, he says that he would not do anything differently, which is just so mind-boggling, fam. Like, he still doesn't take accountability for what happened, which really has me thinking and believing that he threw that game on purpose, yo. But we finna not really get into that. Just an overall whack loser perspective in my opinion, with the context frame in mind. He also eventually, going back to the Hawks series, threw his current teammate Seth Curry under the bus while saying that Kevin Huerter dropped 27 points that game, which again is all true, but emphasizing that it wasn't his fault. So yeah, from this interview, I learned about 3 things. The first one was that Ben tampered to get JJ on the Sixers, which is always good because we always know boys tamper in the league to begin with. Number 2, Ben ultimately believes that he is still the victim in all of this. 3, he still doesn't hold himself accountable for his actions overall. And he also loves to cuss. So 4, that's 4 things. An interesting interview overall. Really wasn't hard-hitting questions. JJ let him off with an easy one, which, I mean, we expect.